All right, welcome back to today. Amazing job. I want to share with you an amazing set of series of videos, stories that change your business. If you're a business owner, if you want to grow your business to the next level, and if you want to scale to $1 million or $10 million or more, you really want to check this out. So today on day one, I'm going to talk about stories that destroy our businesses. What are the stories that destroy our businesses? What is it? But before I get into that, I want you to know why you should listen to this. The reason why you must listen to this is because it's the internal stories that we have about ourselves, about our business, about our partnership, about this world will see and change our reality outside. The external reality is conditioned by our internal stories. That's why you should listen to this. So if you don't really understand this, then you might be a victim of your internal story, what I call a curse story. I'll explain that in the next few days, but internal curse story will potentially destroy your business. That's why you should listen to this. So what is it? What are we talking about here? So what I call as curse story are the stories that limit us, the stories that limit us from moving forward. And so what does that mean? It means that, for example, I have bad childhood. I went through major challenges as a kid, and my dad does, my mom did this. I'm giving you an example, right? And then all of a sudden, you're stuck in that story. I'm not saying that if you were abused as a child, it doesn't have any effect. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, if you are stuck in that, you're stuck in it for lifetime. We need to figure out a way to come out of it. Right? That's what we are talking about. Like, for example, a business partner cheated and took advantage of you and took your money and left. And that could be challenging. And you are stuck with business and you probably got bankrupt because of that or something like that. All of a sudden, if you're stuck with that, you have a precious thing called life. And if you don't handle it, then you lost it. So you cannot stay stuck forever. Right? Or somebody else might be saying, oh, I'm unlucky. I'm an unlucky person. No matter what I do, I'm going to fail. Look at what I did on 1982, on 2022, on 2003. Every time I looked at business, every time I tried to do something in business, I failed. What's wrong with me? Why am I creating this thing again and again, right? So I had a fascinating story about a client that I worked with. Her name was Sue. I'm going to call her Sue. Her real name is different. When she was 7 years old, she actually was robbed while she was at a gas station, at a petrol station, a gas station we call in the US, where she was trying to buy something from the little store inside, and then somebody came and robbed the store. And she's like, oh my gosh, this is devastating. And then she went back home, parents picked up, everything is fine. 7 years later, exactly when she was 14 years old, she went to another, what we call a 7-Eleven, which is a gas, petrol/gas station here in the US. She went to a 7-Eleven. The store was robbed again at her age of 14 when she was trying to buy some small silly stuff. What happened? What really happened? First of all, it could be a pure coincidence, could be something else, but the key point is she associated it as a curse story. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? No matter what I do, am I creating this thing? Am I creating this trauma? Am I re-traumatizing me? And she gets confused, right? This is why every experience that leaves a mark on you, it is marking you with a story, either a blessing story or a curse story. If you have a blessing story about whatever happened to you, beautiful. You're doing the right thing and you're moving forward. But if you have a curse story, listen further and understand the psychology behind it. Human database can save only stories. It's a database that can save only stories. It cannot store anything else. Everything else is computer can save zeros and ones. Human database can save only metaphors/stories. A sequential metaphor. That's all the human brain can understand. So if you look at if I ask you how was your childhood? You tell me a story. How was your high school? You tell me a story. How's your married life? You tell me a story. How's your kid? You tell me a story. Do you see that? So no matter what I ask you, you're essentially telling me a metaphor or a story about what it is, because that's how we understand things. That's how things make sense to us. So how do I handle this thing called curse story? First of all, you can crush your stories. And I'll tell you how to crush your curse stories. It's not difficult. You don't need to have a bulldozer to crush it. It's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. And I'm going to give you the scientific way in a future video, but I'm going to give you not the unscientific way, but a simple way right now in this video. Because as we are getting started, I wanted to start with a momentum. So let me tell you exactly what to do. So think about it this way. Your story has a beginning, a middle, and end. No matter what your story is, it has a beginning, middle, and end. Simple enough, right? So think about a strict parent. That parent had like 2 kids. One of them became a philanthropist, like somebody who wants to give to charity, like so fulfilled. He's talking about joyfulness and mindfulness, blah, 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 everything. And he's always happy, smiling. He has the best life. He has everything. The other guy, two sons, other guy became a serial killer. Okay, there could be neurological reasons, obviously, if somebody becomes a serial killer. But apart from the neurological reasons, is it true that both of them got strict parenting? Is it true that both of them got similar childhood? Is it true that both of them had similar teenage for the most part? But their end is different. Why? Because the meaning that they associated with the experience were different. That's a difference. So there is a story, has an introduction, there is a middle, there is an end. But for one person, the introduction and the middle were very similar, not exactly identical, but very, very similar, very, very like close to each other. But the summary is different. Summary is like, my father was so strict to me, I want to become a philanthropist, show the world XYZ, right? Another person decided, you know what, my father was strict to me, you know what, let me show him what I'm capable of doing in terms of doing bad things. Barring the negativity from, or barring the neurological effect of his brain has on actions that he would be doing, including some variations in prefrontal cortex. Apart from that, it's purely end summary. So let me explain that. So how do I do this step by step? One, a story has a beginning, story has a middle, and story has an end. Change one element and everything changes. So if you change the beginning, it's a different story. If you change the middle, it's a different story. If you change the end, it's a different story. You know what the silliest, simplest way to do this? Change the end. What does that mean? Which means that you could have all kinds of challenges in your life so far until today. But today you start associating the end with a different meaning. All of a sudden, what happened? The story changed because the end changed. That's what happened to the philanthropist, not the serial killer. For him, it was a different end, right? He had an end, but that was a curse story. The end is like, oh my gosh, I'm not loved. I'm not appreciated. You know what? Let me show you. Let me make sure that people appreciate me by starving or killing, whatever he wanted to do. Makes sense? So you change the beginning, story changes a little bit. You change the middle, story changes significantly. You change the end, the meaning changes completely. And there are basic fundamental neurological reasons for this. And there are advanced neurological scientific facts behind this, which we will discuss in the future. But for now, just do this. Understand this. There are stories that are called curse stories, the stories that are limiting us, that are pulling us backward, into a lower level destiny, lower level fate. If you want to claim your highest destiny, you need to go and transcend these curse stories. How do you do that? It's very simple. There is a beginning and a middle and an end for a story, right? And if you change the beginning, it's good. Middle, it's even better. If you change the end, then it's a different story. It's a different meaning. That's how people have changed their destiny. So if you want to claim your highest destiny, make sure that you convert your curse stories into stories that empower us and move us to the next level. So today's action, I'm going to share that with you in a second. But tomorrow, I'm going to talk about stories that speed up our business success. Today, I was talking about stories that are limiting us. But tomorrow, I'm going to talk about stories that are going to speed up our business success, right? So at that time, and eventually I'll be teaching you about how to convert one of the curse stories into a story that will bring us forward. Okay, so we'll do all that in the series. Probably this is around like 10 video series. So if you are attending it for the first time, make sure that you be part of the series and you complete it and get the maximum benefit from it so that you could move your business, your life to the next level. So today's job is very, very simple. I would like you to take one simple action. The one simple action is find out if you have a curse story. Go check in your database called Brain and see what stories are you telling yourself that are limiting you. What stories are you telling yourself that are limiting you? Everybody had gone through some sort of challenges. Some people's challenges are much bigger than others, and it's unfair. It's all true, but it's even more unfair for you to stay in that story. One more time. It's even more unfair for you to stay in that story. So that's why you need to get out of the story. So go at least find that story and do one small thing, change the end of the story. Change the meaning of the story to be something empowering if you are able to do that. Because as human beings, we are meaning-making machines. We could change meaning for anything we want if you change the end, and that itself will dramatically change your story. So I'll see you tomorrow with stories that speed up our business success. Talk to you tomorrow.